Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणं परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम् नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Hare Krishna. So we will be reading today from Canto 4, Chapter 3, and the verse 15. So here you go. ऋषिर उवाच एवं गिरित्रः प्रियायाभिभाषिताः प्रत्याभ्यादत्त प्रहसन् सुहृत्प्रिया संस्मारितो मर्मभिद कुवाघिशम् यान आह को विश्वसृजं समाक्षतः once again ऋषिर उवाच एवं गिरित्रः प्रियाभिभाषिताः परत्याभ्यादत्त प्रहसन् श्रुतिप्रियाः संस्मरितो मर्मभिदः कुवागीषुन् यान् अहाको विश्वसृजं समाक्षतः. Word by word meaning. Rishi Uvacha, the great sage Maitreya said, Evam, thus Giritraha, Lord Shiva, Priyaya, Priyaya, by his dear wife, Abhibhashitaha, being spoken to, Pratyabhyadatta, replied, Prahasan, while smiling, Shruti Priyaha, dear to the relatives, Samashitaha, remembering, Marma Bidaha, heart piercing, Kuvai, Kuvakshunaha, malicious words, Yan, which words, Aha, said, Kaha, who, Daksha, Vishwa Srijam, of creators of the universal manifestation, Samakshataha, in the presence. Translation. The great sage Maitreya said, Lord Shiva, the deliverer of hill Kailasa, having thus been addressed by his dear wife, replied smilingly, although at the same time, he remembered the malicious, heart-piercing speeches delivered by Daksha before the guardians of the universal affairs. Purport by His Divine Grace, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. When Lord Shiva heard from his wife about Daksha, the psychological effect was that he immediately remembered the strong words spoken against him in the assembly of the guardians of the universe. And remembering those words, he was sorry at heart. Although, to please his wife, he smiled. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that a liberated person is always in mental equilibrium in both the distress and the happiness of the material world. Therefore, the question may now be raised why liberated personality like Lord Shiva was so unhappy because of the words of Daksha. The answer is given by Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura. Lord Shiva is Atma Rama or situated in complete self realization. But because he is the incarnation in charge of the material mode of ignorance, Tamoguna, he is sometimes affected by the pleasure and pain of the material world. The difference between the pleasure and pain of this material world and that of the spiritual world is that in the spiritual world the effect is qualitatively absolute. Therefore, one may feel sorry in the absolute world, but the manifestation of so called pain is always full of bliss. For instance, once Lord Krishna in his childhood was chastised by his mother Yashoda, and Lord Krishna cried. But although he shed tears from his eyes, this is not to be considered a reaction of the mode of ignorance, for the incident was full of transcendental pleasure. When Krishna was playing in so many ways, sometimes it appeared that he caused the distress to the gopis, but actually, such dealings were full of transcendental bliss. That is the difference between the material and spiritual worlds. The spiritual world, where everything is pure, is pervertedly reflected in this material world. Since everything in the spiritual world is absolute, in the spiritual varieties of apparent pleasure and pain, there is no perception other than eternal bliss. Whereas in the material world, because everything is contaminated by the modes of material nature, there are feelings of pleasure and pain. Therefore, because Lord Shiva, although fully self realized person, was in charge of the material mode of ignorance, he felt sorrow. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining to read today's Bhagavatam. So we read Bhagavatam today, the verse from Canto 4 and then Canto 4, Chapter 3, 15 verse. So very beautiful verse, and as such, this chapter gives lot of insights and realizations that I could apply in my life. So very nice. So this particular chap is talks between the Lord Shiva and Mother Sati. So in order to understand the context that this sloka and also the purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, it's very important to understand the overall background, because a lot of times we may not have the overall background. As a result, to understand the context will be little challenging. So what I would uh, uh, I will try to narrate that the whole pastime, and then we will come to this particular verse and what lessons that we could learn. So I will. So actually, the birth of Sati and Daksha's wish. So mother's Daksha, and he is the Manasa Putra of the Brahmaji. So when Brahma want to uh, create jivas, and this he is the creator, right? So he want to create the progeny, and then at that time this Daksha appears, and he is the son of the Brahmaji, Manasa Putra. So the Sati, who is Sati? Sati is the daughter of Daksha and Prasuti. His wife, Daksha's wife name is Prasuti, and they desired a child, and so they perform severe penances and austerities, and by worshipping the Adi Parashakti. So finally, the Adi Parashakti herself appears as the daughter of Daksha, and that's the reason Sati also known as Dakshayini, meaning daughter of Daksha. And from the childhood, Sati was um, I mean, he was so attracted to Shiva, and she was worshipping. But for some reason, Daksha is a Prajapati, and he is very intelligent and also very opulent. So looking at Shiva, and who is smeared with the ashes, and is all the time roaming in the graveyards, because he's the in charge of destruction, right? So he did not like that. So the externalities of Lord Shiva made him dislike. So he never liked, Daksha never liked Shiva. But however, Sati was so ardent lover of the Lord Shiva. So, and in fact, she wanted to marry the Shiva. So, which Daksha opposed. But however, as a supreme will, with Brahmaji's mediation, Sati marries to Shiva. So, but the background, Daksha is always not happy her daughter marrying the Lord Shiva, because of all whatever those reasons that we mentioned. So, and fast forward, what happens is there was a Mahayajna was arranged by the Devatas, because they wanted to perform that. So at that time, along with all other devatas who are the in charges of the worldly affairs, right? Meaning to control how any country to operate, we have a government. The governments are also at different levels, right? Federal government, central government, and then state governments. Within that, then district government. We have in US like counties, villages, so on and so forth. Any country, they divide for the all the purpose, for the purpose of the administration. Similarly, this world, the creation in this material world, everything. See, to for the wind god is there, rain, Indra is there. Like that, there are so many administrators are there, and them we call them as devatas. So these devatas also assembled to perform this Mahayajna. So along with them, Brahmaji and Shiva, Lord Shiva, were also present. So then Brahma and Lord Shiva is in deep meditation with On whom he is meditating? He is meditating the Supreme Lord Krishna. So when Daksha entered the assembly of Devatas, where the Yajna Sthali is there, so everybody stood. It is etiquette in the Sanatan culture when elders or worshipable personalities come, they they stand as a token of respect. So even in culturally also in many societies, in our society, that is the etiquette according to the Sanatan Dharma. And whereas in Western societies also there is a etiquette. Even if you go to the courts also, right? When judge up comes into the court, all the members in that courtroom stand up. And I think, in fact, in India, the attendant pronounce. He says, like, right, oh, judge is coming, please stand. Something like that. Well, of course, I think in US courts that doesn't seems to be the norm, but they have their own way of respecting. It's a culturally motivated discipline honoring the personality. So when Daksha came into this Devatas assembly, Brahmaji, except Brahmaji and Lord Shiva, everybody stood. And then Daksha, when he saw that, he was fine with Brahmaji not standing because he's his father. But his son in law, Shiva, Lord Shiva, did not stand up. So he was very he disappointed and he got angry also. See how this right happens. When a person materially so much attached to this body, though these all these things come into picture. They think that somebody should be honoring them, respecting them. But the Lord Shiva, he doesn't do that purposely. He was in totally in deep meditation. In fact, he was not aware about the appearance of the entrance when Daksha came to that assembly. He was totally aloof, right? When you don't know, when you are in deep meditation, you don't. You don't see what is happening around and you don't acknowledge anybody's coming. So, for no reason, and Lord Shiva, he didn't do out of any disrespect. He's not aware, he's in deep meditation. So then, but however, that Daksha did not understand that one, or he did not observe that one, or because of his past opinion, because Lord Shiva, Daksha never liked the Lord Shiva because of his the ash smearing and where he wanders in the graveyards. But however, his daughter Dakshayani, Sati married to him, even though he doesn't like. So that was a feeling already there. See, it is also natural, right? If we have some opinion, negative opinion on any person, that person, anything he does, immediately this negative opinion shadow us and will not allow us to recognize the goodness in that person. That is very common that we observe in our own lives. So same thing happened with Daksha. So then he was very furious and he chastises and he humiliates heart piercing words to Lord Shiva. And that was very humiliating situation, right? See, there is a saying, when you want to appreciate, publicly appreciate. But when you want to chastise, do not chastise in before others. That is a common etiquette that should be one should follow. If you want, like, it is a very good lesson, like manager is there, so he should not supposed to humiliate or speak bad words about the team member in presence of others. Rather, he can call later, he can speak to team member whatever happened. So that is etiquette. But whereas here Daksha totally uh, disobeys that morality. So he chastises, and on top of that, he says that whatever the proceedings that are there out of this yajna, he is not qualified. Shiva is not qualified, we should not be given. So that whole thing happens, and that harsh words. obviously, when we hear something, right, those words will be in our mind. So that is the context. That is the context. And then next, fast forward, what happens? This public insult for the Shiva. Then later, the yajna disperses, the yajna stali. After the performing, completing the yajna, everybody disperses. They leave, and Lord Shiva also goes to his Mount Kailash. Then, then Mother Sati also learn about this one, but with the time she also forgets. So fast forward, everybody forgets. Then what happens is Daksha. Then after some time he was conducting a Mahayajna, very grand yajna, and he invites everybody, all the devatas, except Lord Shiva and Sati. Why? He want to humiliate, because he has such a so much hatred for Shiva, though not for Sati, but Shiva. Since she married Lord Shiva, he also did not invite her daughter also. So somehow Mother Sati learns about his father's yajna, because all the celestial Devat personalities were conversing about this mega event, right? It happens same thing in any village or in any city. Something great is happening. Everybody discusses about this. Similarly, Mother Sati also learns about this. Now, coming here, Mother Sati, with the time, see, one of the beauty of the time is all the humiliations, all the troubles that we have gone through will slowly diminishes. And that is the reason the lesson is whenever there is a harsh argument between anybody or any situation, it is recommended that not to react immediately. Why? When there is a that anger is there, then we lose our temperament and we lose our what do you call intelligence, and then one starts chastising. He says anything. So especially this is a very practical principle one should observe. And what to speak of, just a practical thing is often between husband and wife also some disagreements will be there. We are human beings, everybody is not same. So and on top of that, both the male and female, right, their tendencies are different and their way of thinking is different. In perspective, men are more logical, women are more emotional, right? So these are by nature it is. So the practical lesson for me is stop. Whenever that argument comes, immediately you withdraw from the place and do not react anything. Do not say anything. Leave for some time, and then when you go back, you can discuss the same situation, and then that conversation will be more fruitful and more constructive. So here also, with the time, everything diminishes, right? See, on a practical note also, we talk about, everybody knows that death is inevitable. Nobody knows that whether you are a devotee or whether you are a materialist. Everybody knows that death is inevitable. That is, and especially I see when our preachers go and talk, one thing often comes into the discussion is Dukkalayam, Ashashvatam, all these Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. We talk about all this, and then we say material world is nasty, and then death is inevitable. Then materialists will be bombarded. Hey, why are you talking about these unpleasant things? See, just because I hide the facts, it doesn't mean the outcome will change. But whereas how they look at the death, devotees say yes. Shastra says that, see, at the time of the death, whatever be the conscious I am, the next life is determined by that conscious. And then how can I will be on that conscious? Throughout the life, I have to perform this sadhana bhakti. That is sadhana. That is the death is the exam, and our sadhana, whatever I am doing day in, day out, is the practice for that exam. So they won't look death as a major calamity. They know it is inevitable. What is there when it is inevitable? Why do we need to lose my? Rather prepare for that. That is how devotee mentality. But whereas material person, what he does, he doesn't want to think about that. Rather, he want to indulge in forget. To forget that he does so many things. Some people drink wine. Is it right? That is a Friday or anything. People. Another contrast observation also you can see. See, materialists in sorrow or in any happier situation, they celebrate drinking wine. I'm generalizing. I'm saying even in materialists, there are strict vegetarians, but generalization. So they celebrate with that mood. But whereas devotees, in happiness and in distress, in both times, they glorify the Lord. So the conscious is different and the reflective actions also be different. So anyway, so what is happening with the time? Everybody forgets. That's a beauty of the time. If time is not there, I think our lives would have been very miserable. Because of if the time and forgetful is not there. Because we don't want to remember everything, but we do want to remember the Lord. So how that is very important. So here also, when Sati learned about that, and she felt very bad that her father did not invite. But here is another thing: relation, right? Relationship in this world, the very important aspect. No matter whatever you are intelligent, rich person, anything you be, but if you don't have relations, then what is the use of such a life, right? Especially, I'm not talking about the realized souls. For them, they are not inclined to have any physical relationships in their life. They are always in the topmost relationship. What is that relationship? With the Supreme Lord. But whereas, particularly in Grihastha life, the relationships are very important. So, how a brahmachari or a sannyasi conduct their life is not same as Grihastha. Grihastha cannot imitate their life, and if one imitates the life of a brahmacharya and sannyasa, that there will be lot of unpleasant and situations that are unbearable. So it's very important. So similarly, Sati, right, for any daughter, whatever be the matter, their parents are very dear. That goes with the husband also. Because for us, what I would say, in any jiva's life, there are three people very important. The first one is the Supreme Lord Himself. Because Bhagavatam, Pramana is Bhagavad Gita. Mamaivamsho Jiva Loka. So that means we are all part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So our first relationship with the Supreme Lord. The next relationship is Matrudevo Bhava, Pitrudevo Bhava. The parents are the one who brings the jiva into this world. They are the mediators. That is how we come into this world. So that is the reason the parents are given such a great position. Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava. Unfortunately, in Western society, their outlook is different. But Vedic Sanatan Dharma emphasizes in any child's life, mother is the topmost guru. No matter whatever it is, the topmost guru, because the mother teaches the infant everything right from the, not only that, from conception to till the death. Why? From the conception itself, she feeds her, and when a mother pregnant, the kind of and this is also, see, our shastra is very meticulously addresses everything, how a mother, a woman should be in the pregnant stage. The sanskaras are there. She should be absorbed totally in the mood of the meditation on the Lord, and then she need to take sattvic food. All these things are there. But unfortunately, our Indian society, Bharat also, these things are lost. And that is the reason the jivas who are supposed to get this knowledge through the mother is not happening now. So mother is the first guru. She teaches everything for the child. So that is the second personalities are father, more than father, mother is the utmost, and that is the reason I used to have this practice. Always when one get the child gets up, first blessings that they receive from the parent, they should touch their. They are none other than the sakshat God's presence in their lives. So that is the reason I often say, even I was telling my children, see, first thing what you should do is touch your mom's feet and take the blessings. The day should be starting. Whether you worship, do mala or other thing, even though you don't do that, but the bhava that you should have towards your mother is very important. To see the Lord through your mother. That is the ultimate way of perfection, in particularly in Grihasthala. So when Sati learned about the father's yajna, right, it is natural for anybody when there is a festival or a party is happening at their parents' home, naturally that relationship pulls or demands them to go there. In fact, so many chastisement. That is the beauty. With time we forget, and the relation predominates everything. And similarly, here also, the relationship with obviously Sati wanted to go. So, in that context, Sati was speaking to Lord Shiva, allowing her to go to the yajna at the Daksha's house. So, in that context, today's words was spoken. So, here, not at Sati, in the previous sloka, she asked. Now, the Rishi is saying that he's just saying that now the Lord Shiva started smiling at Sati when Sati said, "My dear husband, I want to go. I heard that this yajna is happening at my father's place. I would like to go." So when Shiva heard this one, he forgot everything. But now when she asked, immediately he smiled. First thing he did is he smiled. He did not say anything. Oh, this is what happened last. He did not say anything, and he was smiling. So the purport narrates that he was smiling at Sati, and then um, even though at heart all those remembrances came, he was very disturbed and he felt very unhappy of those situations that happened in that Daiva Yajna, right? When Devatas performed that Yajna. Because it is natural, right? So that is the central point of this particular sloka or verse, but I gave the background so that we understand in what context this particular sloka was given. So, and let's little bit dive into the purport. So here, Prabhupada brings that beautiful point. So, so yeah, now couple of things, practical things I want to draw is especially the relationship between husband and wife in this creation is very important. Why? Not only they bring the jiva into this world, but rest of they are the companions from marriage till death, isn't it? Our children will come, and then once they got educated, once they started earning, they go somewhere for earning. That is natural, right? Even I came from India all the way to here. But for some, that is natural. But it doesn't mean that the children responsibilities diminishes towards their parent. My focus is the wife and husband are always together till they are accompany each other, right? No matter wherever it is, even if the job is posted in some other state, some other city, some other country, they together go. That is the beauty of this relationship. And the communication, the conversation that happens among these two individuals is very crucial for the peace of the family. Now, often both, especially in because in the Vedic culture there used to be a proper balance in the Vedic societies, right? Earlier, women used to take care of the complete house, and the man used to go out, earn the money, and get that. That used to be the culture. Of course, the situation. So I'm not blaming here the current society or saying, I'm just trying to draw the parallels. But whereas fast forward now, whether Eastern societies or Western societies, but mostly this trend started from the Western societies where both husband and wife work. So when though both people are working, there will be an impact on the family, right? I remember when in our childhood, mom used to prepare every meal fresh, but today that's not happening. Our children are not getting. Of course, the families where the house maker is at home, she can take. But predominantly, at least 70-75% of the families, both husband and wife are working. Of course, I mean, that is the need of the hour because the financial obligations are so much and the sensitivities in the society are so much. They both have, unless they both work, it is not possible. Whatever, that is their decision. So that is what, and when both people are working, often any small discussion pans into a big argument because both are tired, both are have their own career ambitions, whatnot. So many, there are ocean of reasons. So here, the what the Lord Shiva is establishing, even though such a insult happened from his father-in-law, when Mother Sati brought, he smiled it. He did not immediately got to the harsh discussion. She's asking for a permission or allowing, and he did not. So that is a lesson for the men to learn that no matter whatever it is, because often our relationships are so relationships. I'm saying, not 100% everybody. So don't bring that when in the conversation. For both, often what happens in the discussion, when the discussion starts, somehow it ends that, oh, your parents did like this, my parents like this. That whole thing, the whole chitta will come from the marriage till. So that, I don't know, it's very creative. All the time it pops up. So here the lesson is don't bring those relation, all whatever it is, whether good or bad, just leave it aside. It is, you are not living with them, you are here, have focus on this one. So here Lord Shiva, he did not say. So similarly the men should be also, because understand, men and women, right? Women, they don't hide anything, it just comes out. That is the nature. But men, they are good at keeping. So this is a structural design creation. So Brahmaji created like this. I mean, I'm just saying generally because there is a famous book also, right? Men are from Mars, women are from I think Venus. So it is, the way they think is different. So men need to be more disciplined because the God given that is there. So hold it to yourself. Don't start yelling. So this is cultivating. How this cultivation comes? Through the materially, if you do, we don't, material formula is whenever there is a say, right? Don't say count 1 to 3, 1 to 100, something like that. But more grounded will come from spiritual practice. When we practice spiritual, when we hear, that will ground us. Why? Because we learn from Bhagavad Gita, Are, we are not this body, we are part and parcel of Krishna, and this our life is has a start and end. Then why we have to quarrel in this small span of time? So all these will make us naturally get into that conflict. So here, that is what a very important lesson, at least I draw. So have that pain, because women, they go through so much. See, as a man, we don't understand the pain that they go through to give a birth. That is aloof. So we should understand that understanding will provide a compassion for the men. So here also the then in the purport, Prabhupada mentions that a devotee is sober in all situations, honor and dishonor. In both situations, he is very calm, he is very sober, and that is where he highlights Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is considered as a Vaishnavanancha Agraganyaha. He is the topmost Vaishnava, and then he is exhibiting that. That is what Prabhupada is bringing us for me to understand and cultivate that one. And second thing, in the purport, it is also said that why this memory are still there. See, one thing is whatever is said, that in the memory that will be there. That is the reason it is said that try to avoid unnecessary prajalpa or unnecessary things that are happening in the society. Why? Whether you consciously witness or unconsciously you witness, those are deposited in our subtle mind. And when things are in subtle mind, somehow somewhere that pops up even though we don't want, but that is very nicely addressed by then the question comes, okay, jivas for us it is common, then why is top mode Vaishnava, Shiva also remembers that one. That is where Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur very nicely gives the explanation. He says that Lord Shiva is Atma Rama. Atma Rama means they don't need any external activities or external stimulation. Ramayanti iti Ramaha, meaning they enjoy by themselves, their internal enjoy, they don't need any external thing. So that is one reason. And also he says another beautiful point, Lord Shiva is the deity of the mode of ignorance, right? So we have Brahmaji and Trimurti, that is often in our society we see, right? Brahmaji is the in charge of the creation, and the Lord Vishnu is the in charge of the maintenance, and then the Lord Shiva is the destruction. So these three Trimurtis, that is how we attribute. So Lord Shiva is the in charge of mode of ignorance. Lord Vishnu mode of goodness, Sattva Guna, and Lord Brahmaji mode of Rajas. So, like this. So, because of that, the mode of ignorance, sometimes these qualities show up in Lord Shiva, right? Lord Shiva is Ashutosh, meaning very easily pleasable. He gives boons just like that. And that is the reason all the demons, they don't worship Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is not that easy to get any boon from him because he knows he's a maintainer, right? He knows, okay, what is best in the best interest of jiva. So, and also Lord Shiva easily he gets angry, that is also, but in this situation he is not getting angry, he is very soberly. So those were the some of the things that are highlighted in this purport. So also those were very nicely Prabhupada brings into this one. Now, because this chapter is a talks between the Lord Shiva and the Sati. Now, to complete, we have seen the verse previous background. How Daksha is the Prajapati, he is the Manasaputra Brahma, and then he gets a daughter Sati, and then how Sati from the childhood wanted Shiva as her husband, in spite of her Daksha's willing, and not he doesn't want Shiva to be his son-in-law, but yet it happens. Now he's son-in-law, and then this yajna happens. In this yajna, Daksha chastises, and feeling that he did not see son-in-law disrespect, even though Shiva is not his fault. Fast forward, everything happens, and then time with the time they forget. But then Sati learns about this Daksha, and then at that when she asks, then the Rishi utters that what how the conversation is started. Now the Shiva is just smiling. Now the rest of the pastime is not part of in the today's context, but in to have a full background, I will also just simplify and narrate that one so that you will get in complete context of the whole Sati and Lord Shiva's pastimes, and also how this particular sloka fits in today's, and then rest of the things. So then, when this is not in the sloka, it's mentioned, the further slokas it is there, but just to complete that, I am mentioning. So, but the Lord Shiva in the subsequent slokas, he mentions, yes, I understand what you are saying, but one should understand that whether it is relatives or friends' place, we have to go to those places where there is a respect for us. If that respect is not there, then when we go there, we may be humiliated. So, is that humiliation worth for us? And when we go to that uh, sangha or association or to relatives' place or friends' place, then we are bound to get humiliated. They may chastise us, and that is, he goes to the extent saying that that is as good as death, he says. So the rest of the slokas, in summary, this is all happens. Then yet, because relationship, right? The strong relationship, all these relationships in the material world are born out of the bodily conscious. Therefore, she also very attached. Upon hearing everything from Lord Shiva, then he says, "It is now up to you, whatever you want to do." See the beauty of the how husbands should learn. So you cannot mandate your wife whatever you want. No, you can tell. You have every right to express your opinion, but ultimately that is the decision has to be taken by the wife, right? It is also same thing in Kurukshetra war. The all the all when Arjuna has this bewilderment, then Lord has given complete knowledge. But in the final, he says, Arjuna, I have given you everything. Now it is up to you. When the Supreme Lord Himself is saying that, hey Jiva, I am giving this knowledge, and it is at the end of the day, it is your free will. Whatever you want, you are allowed to do. Similarly, here in parallel, the Shiva expressed everything, but yet, Sati, because of her parental affection, she says, "Okay, I want to go." So he lets her go, and in on top of that, he also sends his Gana as a protection. So fast forward, Sati goes to the Daksha's home, and many people, all of them know that she was not invited, and they didn't receive that affection with that 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 nunyata bhava was there. So but however her sisters and mother, because mother and sister, they have that personal, right? That relationship is every relationship has a different grades of affection and intimacy and everything. So they receive very well, and there is no arrangement for her to sit in the yajnasthali, and she bears everything. Okay, no importance was given, right? See, after all, we are human beings. If I go to a party, nobody cares. That itself is a big, I want to quit that party as soon as possible. I'm not that elevated. And the ideally is when that association is not conducive for me, I should better not to go. But in spite, if I go there, then that what happens. So fast forward, she bears everything, but then Daksha doesn't. He has such a so much anger and hatred towards Shiva. He never takes any opportunity that gives him to chastise Shiva. So now, perfect opportunity for him. Sati is there. Sati married to Shiva in spite of against his willing. So he starts chastising, blaspheming the Lord Shiva. And Sati could not tolerate that. See, Sati, she loves so much. In fact, in one sense, it's a love marriage, right? Lord Shiva, she right from the childhood, she wanted him as her husband. She could not take she could not take that blasphemy, and then she totally felt very bad. And then she thinks, why I came? My husband advised, yet I came. And she says, this is as good as death for me. So she invokes in her inner fire, and she just burns herself. So that is what happens totally. That is Sati's self immolation. Now this thing happened fast. Then Lord Shiva learns about this. Then Lord Shiva becomes very furious, and then he picks some hair stakes from his head and throws onto the land, on the ground. Then that from that the Virabhadra, the fear personified, manifest, and he orders, go, and his ganas also he orders, go and uh, destroy the Daksha. Then they go and they left and right destroys the whole Yajnasthali and everything. And then they, in fact, Virabhadra kills the Daksha, and then he chops off his head, and then everything is a chaos. Then, upon Devata's prayers, the Lord Shiva cools down, and then see, Shiva is such a personality. He gets easily angry, and he gets easily calm. So he cools down, and then he says, "Okay." So then, upon the Devata's prayer, he brings back the Daksha into life. But what happens is, at this time he gets a goat head. So then once the Daksha comes into rebirth, kind of a rebirth, then he understands his mistake. He offers his prayers to Lord Shiva, and the complete yajna was properly completed, and that's how the whole thing ends. Now the question comes, what happens to Sati? And Sati later she appears as the daughter of the uh, so the destruction of the Daksha happens, and then the Sati, she rebirths as Parvati. So Mother Parvati is the born to the Himavan, the king of mountains, and her mother is Menavati. So that is how Sati reincarnates as Parvati, and now no longer Parvati has any bodily relationship with Daksha. So that is how the whole Lord Shiva, Sati, and Daksha, these three personalities, how their whole pastime goes. So now coming to the lessons learned from this today's in particular verse is, so one should learn to tolerate these ups and humiliation and praises. So in fact it is said that the devotees in fact looks for the humiliation, because that grounds them, and then that remind grounds them. When I am grounded, what happens? The immediate I take the shelter of the Lord. So that is what ultimately I need. So that is a lesson for me. So so a very nice pastime, and even the next canto, next chapter is also on the same. But in whole, we have seen the whole thing and what are the lessons that could be learned. So, as Prabhupada said, another thing is Bhagavad Gita also says, right? Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada agama payino nityastam sitik shava bharata. The person, one should understand, in their lives ups and downs are like seasons. Winter comes and goes, summer comes goes, so these are like that. So in any person, based on our karmas, these things comes and go, so we should not be bewildered. So one can become sober. How? The soberness, the braveness, or that courage comes when we take the shelter of the Supreme Lord. Then how do we take the shelter of the Lord? Not once in a while we go to the temple and no. It is fueling every day. How do I fuel my conscious? Through the Nama Japa. So for this age, the only simplest thing is suggested is Nama Japa. I don't need to perform any extended pujas or havans or anything, this nama. So if I cultivate that, I always should remember the nama. See, that should be like a sound box in our mind. It should constantly. That has two benefits. One is my conscious will be in the right, and third one is whenever my last breath, I will be in that conscious. So my onward journey also will be very conducive for going back to the Godhead Goloka. So that is the summary for me in this particular verse. So I will end here. It's almost 8:30. So any comments or anything, please feel free to say.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. As always, your class is very, very informative. You get different topics and connect the past happenings also, so that we can have a nice picture in our mind what is going on in this shloka. And I have one question about Sati Devi before she gets into Parvati. Uh, the story of Shakti Pitas, how it came because of the Sudarsana Chakra. What is the portion of Lord Vishnu here, Prabhuji? When Vishnu comes, Shiva is having the body of Sati and he is very furious to calm down Shiva. I heard that the Sati's body was cut into pieces by Sudarsana Chakra. That's how all these punya sthalas are established.
Yes, Mataji. I also during my this thing I learned that the Shakti Pitas are because of the Mother
Mm-hmm.
Sati.
Yeah, Mother
But
Sati, Sudarsana Chakra, and all that.
uh,
Vishnu's part is there completely.
yeah, that particular instant I did not know Sudarshan Chakra chopped off the Mother Sati's body, and that's how. But I know that Mother Sati's body, when distributed, how these Shakti
Mm,
Pitas
yeah,
manifest.
yeah.
So then we can see how they are pure and then worshipable places. I think still they are very carry very reverence, right, Mataji?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
Prabhuji.
yeah,
There are
yeah.
many Shakti Pitas, and each body part refers to
Mm,
something, and it is very
mm,
significant also. So,
mm.
why it is not mentioned here about Sudarsana Chakra at all?
Actually, that is very interesting uh, because when I was in the purports, also when I going through, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
see the mention of that thing. I think,
Yeah.
Mataji, another thing. See that particular. See, I mean, I haven't seen the future verses because right now the verse where we are in that is
Mm-hmm.
not about. She didn't go to the yajna, Daksha's place. This is
Yeah,
before
yeah, yeah,
before
yeah.
going. Probably, I think that
Mm,
is a worth
mm.
to
See
check.
later. Thanks,
I think I will
Prabhuji.
also very interesting
Mm,
question. I think I will also check in the future verses. I think that happens in the following chapter, Mataji. In this chapter, I've gone through the future shlokas also. Where it is finally in the next 15 slokas, kind of
mm,
the Lord Shiva gives all these advices
uh-huh.
why she should not be going.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Yes.
yeah, so in the next chapter, when she goes to that Shegna, I think that will be there. But also, I will try to find out find details on that one, Mataji.
Sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.